Thank you for joining us. This is the Legacy Common Scholarship Question and Answer Zoom meeting. So I'm going to just be kind of going over the scholarship application. I'm going to take breaks throughout to ask questions. You can feel free to put those in the chat function, either on Facebook or through Zoom. We have Miranda Inquist, who is with us. She is our community liaison. I don't know her title. I'm so sorry. What's your title, Miranda?
It's Community Engagement Coordinator.
Thank you. I'm sorry. But she's wonderful. She's our Zoom guru. So let's get started. Okay, so my name is Jodi Kateiva. I'm the scholarship administrator here with Legacy. I've been here 5 years, and so you are more than welcome at any time to call or email me with any questions that you have. We are working remotely for the most part, so it may take me, a day to get back to you, but I do try and respond to everyone within 24 hours. So before we start, I'm going to briefly just talk about what Legacy does, just so you kind of get an overall snapshot. So we are the community foundation that serves Lake County, Indiana, and we have a lot of different things that we do for the community beyond scholarships. We serve as a mentor and a resource center for nonprofits. We work very closely with the nonprofits in Lake County. We work with donors to manage their charitable assets. And basically what that means is people come to us, people that want to do good and be a positive force for change in Lake County. And so we work with them to figure out how they can donate their money most effectively to meet their needs and Lake County's needs as well. We're a collaborative with local leadership. So again, we work with local leaders, government agencies, as well as the nonprofit sector. And then finally, what I think we're probably most known for in the community is we provide grants to nonprofits. So just like we provide scholarships and grants to students, we provide funding for many, many nonprofits throughout Lake County to help them continue the great work that they do. So we're here today to talk about the Common Application. We have 2 scholarship program cycles here at Legacy. We've got the Lily application, and that was open July 15th to September 15th. So I know it's past that for all of you, but if you know juniors or younger people in high school and you aren't aware of the Lily application, please, this is an opportunity to kind of let them know that we do offer that scholarship. And so they can check out, our website for information about that. The Common Application that we're talking about tonight, it is one common application, and you fill that out and it will automatically put you kind of in the running for over 25 different scholarships. So on our end, we look at all the information that you've put in, and then you can be reviewed for a multitude of scholarships. So with that one application, you could theoretically, win several scholarships. And each year we do have students that win multiple scholarships from that one application. It opened December 1st, and then the deadline for that is February 1st. So in general, we have over 50 different scholarship funds. 25 of those are administered by Legacy, which means that you apply through Legacy. If you were to go to our website, you can also see that we have a number of scholarships where we hold the funds, but other people do the selection. And so when you're on our website and you're looking through our things, I encourage you to look at those as well and see if you may want to apply to those external agencies for those scholarships. Primarily, our scholarships are for local students, Northwest Indiana or Lake County students. We have a vast criteria, and the reason that is, the scholarships that we have are started by people or businesses or associations, and they come to us and they work with us to develop their own scholarship criteria. So because of that, no scholarship is the same. So we have scholarships that focus on STEM. We have scholarships that are for art or music students. We've got school-specific scholarships, depending on which high school you go to or what college you're intending to go to. So it really runs the gamut. And last year we awarded over $1.2 million in awards. And so this is the big one. It's our scholarship information booklet. It's available on our website. I definitely suggest that you read through it. Our common application is a thorough, long application. So I want to make sure that I'm not wasting anyone's time. So please take the time to go through that booklet. Most students qualify for at least one or two, but before you begin, definitely make sure that you meet the qualifications for at least one of those scholarships. So I'm going to talk a little bit, very briefly, just about what the website looks like and what the application looks like. So our legacy website is legacyfdn.org. If you go to the website, you can click the Apply for Scholarships button, and I'm going to go through that and show you what that looks like. But also at the bottom there, you can see student resources, and that also has the scholarship, our scholarship program FAQs, our scholarship facts. And so if you're interested in applying, I would definitely take the time to read through that. That will really give you nitty-gritty information about how the program is run, meaning how we pay people, how that whole process works. And again, if you have any questions about any of that, you can certainly reach out to me. So I'm going to pause before I get into the nitty-gritty of what the application looks like, just to see, Miranda, if we have any questions at this point at all.
So far, we do not.
Okay, perfect. So once you hit the Apply for Scholarships button, this is our website. This is what it's going to look like. And we have a big button that says Apply for Scholarships. You're going to select that. And then we've got our timeline below. So the application opens on the 1st. It's due on February 1st. And usually we try and notify students of their award by early May. So traditionally, that's when we've been able to do it. We try to do April. That's not always possible, but definitely by the beginning of May. And so once you click on that button, you're going to be moved to Community Force. And so that's the platform that we utilize for our application. It's pretty simple to start up. You will need to create a new account if you don't already have one with us. I ask you to please not use your high school issued email address. We can't always send emails to high schools, and so sometimes it's hard for us to get in touch with you. I do most of my communication with applicants through email, and so if I can't get back in touch with you, it makes it a little bit harder for me if we need something. There's a forget password button, so you can click that if you ever forget your password. And then if for some reason that doesn't work, you can always email me. So once you're in there, there's going to be several different applications, but the one that you're going to be focusing on is the common application. And again, I've got my arrow to the scholarship booklet because, again, I think it's really critical that you read through that and make sure that one of these work for you. You select the apply button. And then below is some helpful information. Most of this is written on the actual application itself, but I feel like it's important, and so I want to make sure that you're aware of it. So the first being that these awards are paid for the 2021-22 academic year. So if you are in college right now and this is your final year, we can't pay you retroactively. So we're going to pay these awards out beginning fall of 2021. Legacy scholarships do cover room and board, which is great because not all scholarships do. But those need to be paid through your institution. So what that means is if you live on campus, then we can pay as long as the bill is on your bursar bill through your university. So if you're going to live in an apartment, or if you want to live in a sorority or a fraternity house, those are often not on your bursar bill, and so we would not be able to pay for those. We can only pay if you're living in school housing where you pay through your bursar. So that's important to note. Payments are made to the school to cover unmet need. We don't over award. And so what that means is that we don't just send you a check for $5,000. If you have other scholarships or other awards, and at the end of your fall semester, you only owe $2,000, then Legacy will pay that $2,000 to your school, but that $3,000 is just going to remain for you to use another semester. We wouldn't pay out that remainder to you in cash. You can also use the money as book reimbursement, which is, say you have aid that covers everything else. You buy your own books out of your own pocket, and then there's a form that you submit to us along with receipts, and then Legacy can reimburse you. We'll send you a check for the amount of money that you paid out. And we can do a combination of both. We really try and work with you to make sure that you maximize your scholarship. So you may use a portion of your money for the tuition that's owed, and then you may use a portion of it for book reimbursement. So I work with students on that. Again, the scholarship program facts under our student resources on the website really goes in depth into how everything works if you have questions about that. So as far as the browser for the application, the preferred one is Google Chrome. You don't have to use it, but I know that people that have used Internet Explorer have had challenges in the past. The application does not need to be completed at once. Save. And I will say that the system times out pretty quickly. So definitely don't do some work and then go make yourself a snack. You could run into the trouble of losing all that information. So, every 5 or 10 minutes, just hit save. And then in the end, you do have to submit your application. So even if everything's done 100%, if you don't hit that submit button, it doesn't get into our reviewer pile. So you want to make sure that you do that. So very quickly, are there any questions about any of those items I just covered?
Not right now.
Okay. So now I'm really just going to go over the nuts and bolts of what the application looks like. So the one thing I will say is do the applicant information section first. And I say that because the application, it's almost intuitive. So as you select different things within the application, other questions will self-populate. And so the application for a high school student is going to look different than the same application for a college student or a graduate student. Different sections are going to populate. So first thing, do that applicant information, and then you'll get to see all the sections that you have to complete. The second part is that if you've completed either your Lilly application, or if you are a current college student and you've either done your Lilly in years past, or you've done the common application last year, you can use the import function and move over almost all of the information so that you don't have to redo it. And so this bottom section where it says import responses, that's what you're going to do. You're going to click the import responses at that bottom where it says the different scholarships and import versus advanced import. You're going to make sure that you click import. Advanced import can get tricky and sometimes not all the information moves over. So my general advice is just to use the import function. It will import everything that it can, and then it's your responsibility to go through and you can update things, remove things, change things as necessary. So some other just kind of general tips about the application, verify the uploaded documents are correct. You'll probably hear that 5 times throughout this presentation because it happens every year. And then as you complete each section, they will show you what percentage you're at. And so in order to submit, all of the sections need to be at 100%. And I'm going to show you this right here. So for example, this is the high school senior student view. You can see it's a little bit different. than the one before. It has some more sections. It talks about, high school senior extracurriculars and whatnot. And then you can see the highlighted, which shows you when that section is 100%. And then similarly, this is the application for a college student, a current college student. So I don't have screenshots for all the different variations, but just to give you an idea that it changes depending on how you answer that applicant information section. So this is just the student view. Again, things might be slightly different depending on whether you're in college or whether you're a student, but it will all be similar. Anything that's red in means that it's required. So you're going to have to put that information in. And the application is pretty standard. So there's your general demographic information that we ask you. We're going to ask you about your extracurricular activities and any leadership positions that you've had. We're going to talk about, or we're going to ask you for your community, religious, and civic activities. So basically, that's volunteer work. So that's work that you have done outside of school to give back. And so we want to know, those kinds of things. And then the application is also going to ask you what part of those are required hours. And that's just for our reviewers to know. For example, if you're in NHS and you have to do 25 hours a year and you've done, 50 hours, then that lets us know, hey, this person did 25 because it was required by them through NHS, but they also did 25 independently on their own. So it just helps the reviewers a bit. And again, this is the student view of what that's going to look like. It will be a little bit different for current college students, but it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're going through this and you have questions about any of it, you can obviously reach out to me. And then the last big section that we have that's kind of standard is the employment history. So we want to know whether you're employed and what you did. So now I'm going to pause just to see if there's any questions. There's three main parts of the application that most people have questions about. It's the essay, the financial component, and the request section. So really that's what I'm going to spend a little bit more time on. So before I go on to that, does anyone have any questions right now?
So we have two questions. You mentioned that the system times out in a shorter period of time. Do you recommend utilizing, a Word document or something like that to type out the question and answers and then copy and paste it into the system, or what do you recommend?
I think that's probably not a bad idea. I mean, for the most part, it's short answer. So I don't think you necessarily need to put everything. So when we're talking about employment and things like that, not necessarily, but there are some sections where you've got to do, several sentences. And for those, I'd never think that it's a bad idea, even just to have that in case something crazy happens. I mean, it doesn't time out that quickly. It wouldn't time out when you're actually working on it, but it can happen if you walk away, for more than 5 or 10 minutes. So that's what I kind of say. If you're going to walk away, then definitely save it.
And then if there's,
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, and then for the essays, for the unique essays, I absolutely think that you should do them on Word first.
Wonderful. And then if there is an issue throughout the application, if for some reason the system's not working, do they reach out to you, or should the applicant, is there a help desk, or how do they go about doing that?
There is a help desk, but I would say come to me, because I work with their help desk very often. And so if anything like that comes up, talk to me, and then I'll be the kind of go-between between Community Force and yourself.
Wonderful.
Okay. So here is a student view of our essay. So I think I somehow went Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. So it says it on there, but I want to just kind of reiterate. So for Lake County high school seniors, if you've already uploaded a Lily essay, it's fine to keep them. The reviewers are aware that you're allowed to use these. We recognize that this is a detailed and long application. And so I don't want to create, no one wants to create extra work for you all. You spend a lot of time doing those essays, so it's absolutely fine if you want to reuse them. If you don't want to reuse them and you want to do a new one, that's fine too. But just want you to be rest assured. I've had a couple students reach out just for verification, so that's why I'm reiterating that it's completely fine. And then we're going to see the screenshot next. But so as I mentioned, the scholarship application self-populates with different things. And so one thing that can happen is you may get an essay prompt. And that means that you are eligible for a scholarship that has a very specific essay attached to it. And so that will self-populate. You have to complete that in order to be reviewed for that scholarship. So if you opt to not do that additional scholarship, then the reviewers won't look at you for that particular one. So keep that in mind. And as I said, make sure that you upload the correct document. For the main essay, you get to upload a document. It can only be one page, so that's something to make note of. Not one page, but I guess one file, I should say. You can only upload one file to the application. But every single year I see this happen. I've had a valedictorian accidentally upload something and not her essay, and she was crushed. Her guidance counselor was crushed. And I said, there's nothing I can do. I tell everyone, double check. So double check. And then finally, essays are really a great way for the reviewers to get to know you. They're looking at lots of applications with students who are engaged in similar activities. And so the essay is really the way for them to get to know you and an opportunity for you to kind of make yourself memorable. Because that's always a good thing when reviewers are looking. They look at about 25 applications at a time. And so this is just the student view of the essay. Again, so for this essay, the total essay, so everything that we get should be from 700 to 1,000 words, not per prompt. So to answer both prompts, it should take you 700 to 1,000 words. Again, you can only upload one file, and I even have you check a box that says that you are sure that you uploaded the right essay. And then at the bottom here, you'll see the unique essay, the unique scholarship essay prompt. And so again, so the Philippine Professionals Association is one of the ones that we have, and they have a specific essay that you have to complete. And so if any of those populate for you, I encourage you to spend some time answering that as well. So I'm done with essays. Now this is a tips. I'm not going to go over all of these. This is going to be on the website. But if you're interested in essay tips, you can certainly read through this once this is put on the website. So any essay questions at all?
We do not have any questions specifically about the essay, no.
Okay. So the request section. So I will say in big bold red, don't complete this part unless you're certain you're going to submit your application. And I say that because when you fill out these requests, they immediately go to your guidance counselor or to the person that you're using as a recommender. And so if you send this out first thing, and then you look at the application and you decide, oh, that's way too hard, I'm not doing that. Your guidance counselor and the recommenders don't know that. And so then they are still doing this part for you, and it turns out to be a waste of their time. And I put this on here again, because in the past, I've had situations where, I've gotten 200 recommendation profiles for students that never ended up submitting. That's a lot of time that those individuals wasted. So please don't do this until you are ready to submit or very, very near the end of your process. So for transcripts, for anyone other than a high school senior, you are allowed to upload your own transcript. Unofficial is fine, and all that information is on the application. For high school seniors, you have to have your school official upload it for you. And that came as a request from the guidance counselors that I work with. They said it was much easier for them to upload it on your behalf than to get files and give it to all of their students. So that's why that's a new thing for us this year for the Common Application. For the recommendation profile, everyone has to do those. We need 2. And the recommendation profile is basically our version of a recommendation letter. So you can ask a coach, a pastor, an employer, a teacher. You can ask your guidance counselor if you happen to be close with he or her. Yes, he or her. You cannot ask a family member, either immediate or secondary. And basically what happens is you put in their information, it will auto-generate an email to them. And then the email says, click this link and fill out this information. And when they click that link, a form comes up and they tell us lots of different stuff about you, that we ask, that we want to know about. So your dependability and your honesty and your ability to succeed in college and, lots of different things that they have to tell us about yourself. They are completely anonymous, so you won't ever get to see your recommendation profile. So that allows your recommenders to be really upfront about, their thoughts about you. So the instructions on how to use this section, they're on the application, but I'll kind of go over it. So you're going to select either that high school scholastic information, the recommendation A or recommendation B. And once you select that, it will open up a screen that will allow you to enter information. And then keep in mind that the guidance counselors and your recommenders, they have until the 15th of February to complete this. So we give them 2 full weeks after the application is due, so that we're not we're not rushing everyone to get things done at the last minute. So once you click on each of those sections, this is what's going to populate here at the top. You're going to put their name, you're going to put their email. Please make sure you put the correct email. Again, happens every year. You misspell something, something happens, and then we end up not getting the information from that person. So make sure that you know all the correct information, and also make sure that you tell them that you're going to be doing this so that they know. And then you can always check the application, your application, and see the status. So that middle kind of line, it has the request. You see the red box. It has requested 66.67, received 33. So that means for this application, that person sent out 2 out of 3 and received 1 back. For college students, you're only going to have that 2, so yours would be 50-50. And then at the very bottom, if you were to click that request icon, this is what it's going to show you. So it will go back in and it will show the student, who you requested the information from, what the email is, and, the request date and the received date. So again, just kind of running through it. Make sure you have their name and their email. Make sure that you have alerted them that they're going to be getting this. The email comes from admin@Community Force. So if they're not getting it, they should definitely check their junk mail, or maybe make sure that the Community Force isn't blocked on their computer. And if that's an issue, if you've sent it to them and they're saying, hey, I didn't get it, again, that's when you reach out to me, and I have a workaround that I can do to get them that information. And then the deadline for them to submit is February 15th. I will also say, your guidance counselors and the recommenders, everyone is so busy these days. I mean, we all are always, but in particular with everything going remote, please don't come to me on the 14th or 13th and say, oh, hey, so-and-so said they never got it. Follow up with them as soon as you send that email, within a day or two. Have you gotten it? So that we can be working on this proactively so that we're not behind the gun. Because I'm telling you, if they have to do your recommendation profile, the day before it's due, it may not be as glowing as if they had 2 weeks to do it like everyone else. Okay. So again, recommendation profile, our recommendation letter. So you kind of have all of this information. At the very bottom, this is what it looks like on their side, just so that you know. This is what their email will look like. Okay. Any question about requests?
We have received a few questions.
Okay.
Going back to transcripts,
Mm-hmm.
for high school seniors, the guidance counselor will upload the transcript. However, does it matter when they do that? One young lady is concerned about fall grades. Will they be waiting until the fall semester's over so those first set of grades are on the transcript?
Yes, that's a great question. The guidance counselors, it does tell them they need to have those 7th semester fall 2020 grades. Yes. So even if you send it now to them, they're going to be holding on to them and then probably doing it, I think mid-January. They said most of them, the grades will be in.
Great.
Yeah, good question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Great. For the recommendations, if you are having a teacher for the recommendation portion, should they utilize the school email? Do you think there's any issues with utilizing a school email? Should they ask for a different email address for the teacher?
Well, I would say most of the time the school email is fine. I wouldn't want to ask you to get an alternate email address because I don't know what their comfort level would be to give that to you. So what I would say is if for some reason there is an issue or a challenge with one particular school, as there have been certain issues with certain schools in the past, I have a workaround that I can do. So again, I would use their school email, and then if they're not getting it within a day or two, have them reach out to me, give them my email, and then I can send them the information from me because my email is not usually blocked. I think Community Force gets blocked sometimes because it ends up in that kind of spam world.
Absolutely. And then we did have one more question about extra media on the application. Is there a spot that if a student is talking about extracurriculars or volunteer opportunities that they've participated in, is there a spot that they can add photos? Would that be beneficial if they are able to upload those, or does that not really matter?
I think that's a great idea. Unfortunately, I would say there is not an option for that right now, but I will say I'm going to write it down because I like that. So maybe next year. But at this point, other than the necessary documents, there isn't a way to upload additional information.
Okay. And then switching gears a hair, a gentleman brought up eligibility around the scholarships that are specifically for students whose parents or grandparents work for a specific company or organization. Does the parent or grandparent currently have to work at the place of employment? Specifically with this question, it was the parent or grandparent worked for over 20 years, but they passed away while they were currently working for the organization. Would they still qualify, or does it have to be a current employee?
It does have to be a current employee.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that, but yes. All of the membership we have several membership scholarships, and then we have several employer ones, and it has to be current within, as when you're applying, they have to be actively working there.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions for now.
So this is our last section that I'm going to go over. And this is the financial information section. So again, our scholarships are very different. Some take into consideration finances, others do not. For those that do, we use the EFC from your FAFSA. The reason we do that is because it kind of gives us an apples to apples comparison, so that, you know, it helps the reviewers see kind of a level way of looking at the students. My recommendation would be for any of you that haven't, you should fill out your FAFSA anyway. So if your school hasn't been pushing this down your throat, I will. You know, in order not only just to get Pell Grants, but subsidized loans and college financial aid and work study, all of those things, you need to have a FAFSA. So if you haven't done that, you should certainly do that now. It opened October 1st. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of go through, because people have questions about this. So the EFC goes in that top box. On the next slide, I have a sample of what your SAR, which is your student aid report. That's the information that you should get back after you complete your FAFSA. And that student aid report gives you your EFC, which is basically the federal government saying, we think your family can contribute X amount of dollars towards your education. Now, I know sometimes it's crazy and you look at the number and it doesn't seem like there's any way that you can, that your family can pay that much. So keep in mind, our reviewers are aware of that. But again, it gives us a standardized way of looking at students' financial picture. So whatever number that is, whether it's, you know, 22,000, 5,000, 0, put that number in that first box. The second red required box is your front page of your SAR report. So we do require you to upload that front page. We only need the front page. We don't need the entire student aid report. But again, that's just for us to have verification. Our reviewers don't see that, but for our files, it's a verification of what you've put above as your EFC. So for current college students, if you don't have your FAFSA for this year and you want to use last year's, that's acceptable. If you don't have a FAFSA, upload a document that explains why or why not. You can be considered for some scholarships even if you don't have one. And that can run the gamut. I mean, it could be that for whatever reason, your family doesn't want to help you complete it, so let me know. It could be that you're ineligible for financial dollars because of your immigration status. Then just put that in there. Upload a document that kind of explains what's going on, and then I can work with you. And then we do ask, if you do that, to enter 99999 in that EFC. And that's a flag to me because, as I mentioned, the reviewers don't get the SAR report, only I have that on my end. But if you enter that 99999, then I know to go and look at your application. And then, you know, and in some cases I'll touch base with you, you know, just let me know what's going on with you. And then we work on our end to make sure that this isn't a barrier for people. We do want your family's AGI, which is your adjusted gross income. So we ask that you put your 2019 tax return just because it's most current. Keep in mind your FAFSA is actually based on 2018 information. So it's 2 years old. The federal government does that. And that gets us to our next thing, which is the financial statement. So that's a box, it's a free text box. And you know, we want to know how you intend to pay for college, but this is also an opportunity to let us know if anything has happened from 2018 or 2019 that will affect your EFC, especially with what's going on now with COVID and so many people are unemployed or laid off. So something that you have in your 2019 or your 2018, in particular, your FAFSA, may be vastly different than your current financial situation at home. And so this is an opportunity to tell us that so that we know. And the reviewers do look at that. So take your time and be thorough if there are things that you feel like will really help us, when considering your application. So the next this is just a copy of a STAR, just so that people know what I'm talking about. This is what it looks like. And then if you can see the little box in my blue circle, it says EFC. So this person, their EFC, although it says 001056, that really means $1,056. So this student, that's what the federal government feels like his or her family can contribute towards their education each year. So this is the number you're going to enter. And you can enter it with the zeros before it, or you can take those out in front. It's up to you. Just know that we're looking at this as a dollar amount. And then a lot of people ask, how do I upload that STAR report? So if you really have a lot of problems, you can reach out to me. You can pull it up on your computer. You can use a snipping tool function, or you can use a print screen function and then save as a Word document and upload that way. You can save it as a PDF if you have Adobe on your computer. You can certainly print and scan it in as a PDF. There's a multitude of ways that you can do it. I know guidance counselors are good about helping, but if you're really at a loss, you can certainly reach out to me and I'll walk you through anything. And again, we only need the first page. So we don't need, I know sometimes they're 15 pages long. We don't need all of that information. So any questions? We're kind of wrapping up. I just have some general scholarship tips, but any questions about the financial aid component?
We do have one question regarding FAFSA. If you filled out the FAFSA already, but you don't remember getting the email, do they automatically send you your email with your EFC information, or do you have to log into the website to obtain that? Do you know?
I don't, to be honest. I think that's more of a guidance counselor question. My assumption would be that they would notify you as soon as you get that. But it can't hurt to go online and navigate, because I know sometimes they need extra information from people. And so with everything electronic, I always say, if you don't hear back from something or someone, I would go in and look and see where it's at. And if it's not there, I would talk to a guidance counselor to see, what your next steps are.
Great. And then we did have one more question regarding the scholarship list on the application. Do they have to list every single scholarship that the student applied for on the application, or is it just the bigger ticketed ones?